Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at MongoDB. Right now, if we were to restart our server in render, all the new nodes that we added while the server was running are going to disappear. That is because we have a hard-coded list of nodes in our server. Now, to store our saved nodes indefinitely, we need a database, which is where MongoDB comes in. So we're going to head over to MongoDB Atlas in our browser. So we're going to be using MongoDB Atlas to create our database. So we're going to press on try free and you can create an account. I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. Once you create your account, this is what you should see. So we're going to head over to database and we're going to click on build a database. So we're going to be using the free version and we can change the region to a region that is closest to you. So I'm going to choose Frankfurt and you can just leave the rest as the default and we're going to press on create. So at the bottom left, you can see that our database has not finished processing yet. So we're going to wait till it finishes. So till it says your cluster has finished provisioning. Now the next thing we need to do is create credentials to access our server. These credentials are going to be different from the ones you use to sign in to Atlas. So we're going to choose a username and a password. For simplicity, I'm going to change the password to 123 and we're going to click on create user. The next thing we're going to do is define the IP addresses that are allowed to access the database. For the sake of simplicity, again, we're going to allow access from all IP addresses. So we can do that by heading over to network access and we're going to click on add IP address. And we're going to click on the button that says allow access from anywhere and we're going to click on confirm. Once the IP address is active, we can now connect to our database. So we're going to head back to database and we're going to click on connect and we're going to pick the first option that says connect to your application. And from here, what we need to take is the following link, which starts with MongoDB plus. So this is the link we're going to use to connect to our database. As you can see, there's a space where you're going to enter your password, which we set to 123. So we're going to copy this link and we're going to use it later in our code. And we're going to head back to VS Code. And we're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it MongoDB. And in here, we're going to create a new file called mongo.js. Now to communicate with our MongoDB database, we're going to need a library. And the library that we're going to be using is the Mongoose library. So we need to install this library. So we're going to open the terminal and we're going to navigate to our new folder. And we're going to run the command npm install mongoose. In our mongo.js file, we're going to import this library. So we're going to have const mongoose equal to require mongoose. So first, we're going to create a simple command line application to see how our database works. So first, we're going to have an if condition, which is going to check if process.argv.length is less than 3. And if that is the case, we're going to console.log give password, and we're going to exit the process with a status code of 1. So what this does is when we run our code, we're going to have a series of arguments in the command line. The first argument is going to be node. The second argument is going to be the name of our file, which is mongo.js. And the third argument is going to be the password. So if the length of our arguments is less than 3, that means the user has not provided a password. So we're going to tell them to give the password and we're going to end the process. So that is what this if condition checks. Next, we're going to define a variable called password and we're going to pass it in the second argument. So we're going to have process.argv and using square brackets, we're going to pass in 2. Since indexing starts from 0, 2 is going to be the third argument. Next, we're going to define a variable called URL. And in here, we're going to paste in the URL we copied. So we're going to first have backticks since we're going to be substituting inside the string, and we're going to paste in our link. Once we've done that, what we need to substitute in is the password. So we're going to have $, curly braces, and we're going to pass in the password variable. Now by default, the name of our database created from this application is going to be test, but we want to give it a custom name. And in order to do that, we're going to go to the slash and we're going to provide it with a name. So we're going to provide it with the name note app, and that is it for our URL. The next thing we need to do is mongoose.set. The first argument is going to be strict query, and the second argument is going to be false. So this is going to disable the strict query property, and disabling this is going to allow us to access our database without providing any filters, meaning it allows us to return the whole database. By default, this is set to true as a security feature, but for our simple application, we can set it to false. Next, we're going to connect to the URL using Mongoose. So we're going to have mongoose.connect, and we're going to pass in our URL. The next thing we're going to do is define a variable called note schema, and we're going to set it equal to new mongoose.schema, and we're going to pass in an object which has a content attribute set to string, and it's also going to have an important attribute set to boolean. So this is going to define what a note structure should look like. So our note is going to look like this structure. It's going to have a content of type string, and it's going to have an importance of type boolean. Next, we're going to define another variable called note, and we're going to set it equal to mongoose.model, and we're going to pass in note as the first argument, and we're going to pass in our schema, which is note schema. What this is going to do is it's going to create a model for every note that we create using the note schema. Next, we're going to actually create the note. So we're going to have a variable called note, and we're going to set it equal to new, and we're going to use the note model, and we're going to pass in an object. So the object is going to have a content. We're going to give it a value of, let's say, HTML is easy, and we're going to give it an important attribute, and we're going to set it to true. Now the next thing we need to do is save this note to our database. So we're going to have note.save, and this is going to return a promise. So we're going to have the then function, which is going to give us a result. And in here, we want a console.log note saved. And finally, we're going to close our connection to the database. So we're going to use mongoose.connection.close. So this is going to save our note to the database, and it's going to log saved note. And finally, it's going to close our connection to the database. So now we can save this file and open our terminal, and we're going to navigate to this folder. And in here, we're going to run the following command. So as we said, the first argument is going to be node. The second argument is going to be the name of our file, which is mongo.js. And the final argument is going to be the password. So the password that we used was 123. And now we're going to press enter. As you can see, we get note saved, logged to the console. And now if we head back to MongoDB and we open browse collections, we can see that a new database has been created, and it has the name note app, which we provided in the URL. And it also has the note HTML is easy. So this has been a lesson on MongoDB. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.